Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sports for Dummies podcast. My name is Hope Ellen, I'm your resident sport dummy, and I'm joined each week by the sports extraordinaire and guru, Lewis Pearce. This week, he'll be running us through the top stories of the world in sport. As per usual, 3 stories, 3 silly responses, and lots of fun and banter. Lewis, how's it going?
Hope. That was a great introduction. Love that. Absolutely love that.
Oh, no, do you know what I forgot, Lewis?
What?
I forgot the bit where when we say to people, this is a perfect podcast for you if you know anything about sport or nothing about sports. You're better at the introductions, Lewis. I mean, I failed.
No, look, I'm still proud to be that. That was strong. Aside
Thank
that
you.
slight little mess up. Hope, I'm good. The only thing I'm in at the moment, right, a bit of a predicament. Come through the door today, we're going to get onto in just a second. Overall, life's good. Very exciting. Back to uni next week. So at the time we're recording, that's in a couple of days. So that'll be good. Hope, had a bit of a thing, right? A bit of a fun story. And I'm sure I'll take the listeners on an adventure. I was even going to do a TikTok on this. And I'm convinced I'm going to do it.
He always threatens to do TikToks and we never actually see them.
You watch. I have a plan for this. So I ordered myself, one of my best mates called Sharon, shout out to Sharon, absolute legend, bought me a retro Liverpool shirt. Now, it's an official shirt, vintage, great. And I was like, well, I could keep the shirt and great and it's vintage, whatever. But I was like, why wouldn't I go and have some fun with it? So I ordered myself the name, and this shirt, by the way, is the year I was born. So it's 2001. I ordered myself official.
Don't say that.
Why?
That makes me feel so old.
Well, there you
Sorry.
go. No, I know. I think you say every time I mention it, it's like, oh,
It hurts.
I know.
It genuinely hurts me.
The internal pain. Where was I? Yes, right. So I ordered myself a name set and the number. So the name and the number. Emil Heskey, absolute legend. Number 8 for Liverpool. Right, great. Now this is where it gets complicated because I've called up multiple shops, multiple people, and no one can offer me a service, right? And I am fuming because the amount of people in the world, because you need a hot press, right? You need to put the number on and the name and you pull down the lever and whatever, you pull it up and bing, you've got yourself a name and number on a kit. But every person that I've called up, either they can't do the printing or they don't have a printer. And it's like, well, I even called up a vintage football shop that sell kits. And I've seen the printer in the store. I've actually physically seen it. And they said to me, unfortunately, no, we don't offer the service. We only offer the service for kits that you buy in store. And I was like, well, I will literally pay you to do the shirt. Anyway, so today, Hope, I've been faffing around with that. I also did an interview for us on our podcast, so make sure to keep your eyes on the prize.
But before we move on to the eyes on the prize in the interview today, if anyone can help Lewis with this shirt situation, please get in touch.
Please let me know what I need to do, because I've got no idea. Literally, I won't show my address because that's weird, but I've got the name and number sitting in here, Heskey number 8, bang, right, ready to go. And I can't, yeah.
Can't you do it yourself at home with a bit of parchment over the shirt and the number and do an iron?
Now, I've done this before, right? And this is the thing. Technically, yes, right? And I'll show a photo. Actually, I don't even know if I've got the kit anymore, but if I've got the kit, I will send a photo. I did that with a Steven Gerrard shirt. So Gerrard moved to LA Galaxy. I bought an LA Galaxy shirt. The name printing, did it myself. Within 2 weeks...
It rubbed off.
Gone. Yeah. Because the problem is those printers are like however many 100 degrees and they stick on, you've got your little iron, you're like, and the iron's tiny, so you're like scrabbling, going, please. It doesn't ever work. Ironically though, the Gerrard and Heskey were the same number. So Gerrard was number 8, Heskey was number 8 for Liverpool.
Maybe that's where you're going wrong. Maybe you need a different number.
I've got a choice now. I bought the thing now. I have to go and do it.
It's 66 Trent Alexander.
Well, they would bloody print that for me in the Liverpool store, but I can't go and do that. So anyway, anyone that's listening that has an idea, or even if you've got a hot printer, if anyone listening, if you actually own a hot printer, I don't know why you would, but you may do, please let me know, because I'd really appreciate it. Hope, how are you?
I'm good. But back to the eyes on the prize as well. Didn't mean to cast over that, but I just really wanted the request to be in there. Lewis has been interviewing someone very exciting this morning.
Yes, a very, very big name in the world of horse racing, so make sure to watch out for that. That should be out sometime, hopefully, in the next week or two. So keep looking.
As we always say, eyes on the prize.
Hope, what's been going down? Hope's spent, pretty much the entire day having her nails and feet and hair and eyes and done.
No, they're all different days. Yesterday I had a massage. Today I've had my nails done. Monday I'm getting my hair done. I think Wednesday I'm getting my eyebrows done and my moustache.
Massage on Monday. I went for eyebrows on Tuesday. I got my nails done on Wednesday. And hair on Thursday and Friday and Saturday.
And chill on Sunday. There we go. It's unusual for me
yeah.
to be pampering myself so much, but I just feel like, well,
Yeah, go
MOT,
for it. Why not?
MOT
It's a bit
is
of fun.
required. Yeah,
MOT.
but I've had a really busy week actually. Speaking about jockeys and the horse industry, I've been at the National Stud in Newmarket, which is where racing horses go once they've raced, and that's where they go to make babies, to be future racing stars. So I met some famous horses. There's one called Stradivarius, who's a really famous horse who done loads of racing. Met him, and I was interviewing different people from the horse racing industry.
What's the process then, right? We don't need to go into depth. I'm just intrigued. What's the process of how does that work? If they're planning for horses to make babies, do they pick the two horses? Like what? How does is that? Yeah.
So it was really interesting actually. I learnt a lot. So I'll explain it. Basically, you have the horses that do really well in racing, and then after they've retired, their product, if you like, is worth a fortune. Okay, so it's all very expensive, high risk business. They have mares who are the lady horses. Sometimes these lady horses, or often, are also from a racing background. So you've got the mum and the dad, both brilliant racers. The better they were at racing, the more expensive they are.
Okay.
And they have a special room, right? A mating room, right?
Really?
They have a sex room. So the male horse goes in the sex room. The female horse goes in the sex room. There's a platform in this room for people to watch. It sounds like Amsterdam. People to watch to make sure it's being done correctly, because obviously they want to make sure it's bam, bam, done. Sometimes I found out that if the woman horse has recently had a baby, the foal will be in the room in a little gated area so it can still see the mum, so it feels like it's close to mummy while mummy's doing that with the stud. And then once that's done, they're sorted, and then the mother can go off, have the baby. She'll be sometimes on this same place, and they'll have a special foal room where they have cameras and they film the babies, film the mothers when they're about to give birth to make sure everything's on board and all okay. But I met a horse who was like not a Shetland pony, because that's different, but like a horse that was a bit scraggly and lots of hair, one of those horses that you see like on hills. And her job was to be the test to make sure that the racing horse's sperm worked. So she had a baby, he was looking after this baby, and she was just used for that reason.
That is sad.
Passed off to the side. But it was interesting. There was one horse as well. Sorry to go on about the horses so much, but I was all the interesting information. One horse that goes to New Zealand for 6 months at a time to do mating. And they call it covering.
But and again, we don't need to go into the anatomy of horses because I'm not sure that's what the podcast is about, but is it a guaranteed 100% success rate? I.e. every time the two horses go in there, because that's what you guarantee that?
I imagine not. I imagine they would have to check that the female horse is ovulating. And I imagine they do a similar test to humans. So I know that with women, I think our temperature changes. There's certain changes that possibly they test for to make sure that she's ready to rock and roll. Because they wouldn't just do it for the sake of it. I don't know.
No, but that's what I mean. Like it's
maybe they're always ovulate. I don't know, but I do know this.
Yes,
they only let the horse have one baby at a time, because otherwise it can kill the mother. So if they find that the mother is pregnant with twins, they pop one of the embryos.
Learning on Sports Dummies, guys, about the most random stuff ever. This is something random, but it's interesting.
It is related to sport because it's race horses.
So we're talking, Hope, to kickstart things today. We've got quite a fun episode, I'd say. Some random, one great story to wrap it all up, but some interesting stories. One that I was very surprised by, really enjoyed reading actually, and it kind of wouldn't say it hit close to home, but it's quite fun. You know when you recommend something to other people and then it gets noticed and you're like, yes, right. So we're actually talking today, Hope, about a woman called Lesley Paterson. Now, have you heard of Lesley Paterson?
No, but I went to school with someone called Cameron Paterson.
Brilliant. Was it 2 T's or 1 T?
It might have been Peterson. I went to school with someone called Cameron, essentially.
It's not, it could have been anybody. Cameron's listening now going, she's got my name wrong. She's got my name wrong. Anyway, so yes, Lesley Paterson, not Pedersen or whatever, is a 5-time world champion triathlete. Now, Hope, quite fun. This is again very random tie to sport because we were talking about, say, the life of horses, right? We're going to relate that in a different way in terms of a sports story that's turned into I would argue, a film story. It is a film story. So
Does it
this woman,
involve a
Lesley
sex
Paterson,
room like the horses?
no, is a 5 times world champion triathlete. Now, she actually used her money she earned from triathlon to actually fund making a film nominated for a BAFTA and potentially for an Oscar. Now, the film has 14 BAFTA nominations, which is the largest for any film ever. And that film is called All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, I think I've seen... Isn't that about war?
Yes.
Oh, because I've seen it advertised.
Right. So this is exactly Hope. So there you go. That's exactly why. So the context of the film, for 16 years, Lesley basically has been like sort of developing this idea, trying to get it to publishers and people. And she came out and said that although everyone around me doubted massively that I could get the film made because of the risks involved, number one, war movies are expensive to make and no one was interested in making a First World War movie, I've always had this unbridled confidence that I could make it happen. Now, to give some context for those that may not know, again, we'll do a bit of history and then we'll get straight back onto the sort of the sporting element. All Quiet on the Western Front was a book, then turned into a Hollywood film that got nominated in 1930 for an Oscar. It actually won Best Picture at the time. And it's basically, it came out in November time, and I watched it with my mate Scott at the cinema. Absolutely incredible film. Must watch to any of those that are interested. I would say not only in war films, I think generally in terms of the history of the world, because this is one of the first, for me anyway, it was the first film that I'd seen that portrayed the war from a German perspective. So the losing side, rather than the Allies. Every film you see is 1917 is an English film. Dunkirk is English. You know, all these top films are England, America, wherever. You very rarely see a losing side, the losing perspective, sorry. And this film focuses on kind of the disillusionment of the soldiers and the bravery it took for these young kids to go out there and sort of, again, all thing about propaganda, like what they thought they were getting into and what actually
Well, they were totally indoctrinated, weren't they?
Oh, completely disillusioned. Again, a bit like the film. But I would put a warning out there, and I'd probably clip this bit too, that it is a violent film. It's very gory. Like, it's not for the faint-hearted. There are some very, there were moments I had to shut my eyes, and I'm squeamish at blood and stuff, but like there were bits that it was absolutely horrendous. But the fact is, for me personally, it felt like one of the most accurate and real war films in terms of, you know, lots of war films you see like kind of, you don't really see any blood and you're not saying I want to see all that stuff, but you know, with lots of films like that, they kind of PG it, you know, this film, they show it. So big warning about that. But yeah, so basically it gives a bit more context and Hope I'll let you speak and I want to hear what you think. So Paterson basically found the universal rights online. She read the book, and actually the rights to the book had expired. And so she got in contact with someone, and to earn some extra cash, she actually flew out to Costa Rica and she completed a triathlon and she won like $6,500. It's an amazing triathlon. Now, every single year, basically, she has been trying to raise money to keep the rights to make sure that the film would take off. And so she actually did the Costa Rica triathlon with a broken shoulder. So she swam one-armed and she biked with one arm. And then she was losing with like 2K to go in the run. She managed to win. She pulled it back. But it was just amazing to hear like this woman that basically had an idea and was trying to propose and pitch it to people. She said roughly it cost about £165,000 of her and her husband's money to keep the film dream alive, which is about £10,000 a year, give or take. And Netflix eventually took it on. They've made it an all-German film, so there's subtitles, and it is amazing. A must-watch. So there you go.
Not making it about me, but I always say you can do anything as long as you work hard. That just goes to prove, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
There you go. Determination, dedication.
I thought it was a great story. I thought it was a really nice story and like an amazing achievement. And the fact that this film, and I'd watched it, you know, it's funny because it's, again, I don't want to go, I hate when people are like, oh, I saw it before everyone else. And now you know, because it's not that at all. But I literally watched it. Yeah, I know. It winds me up. I watched it a couple of days after the release date. And I said, this film is top. Like, this is a top war film. And my mate's like, oh, I'll give it a watch, maybe whatever. Goes out and gets 14 BAFTA nominations. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, shout out to Lesley. But Hope, that's what I was going to ask you. Would you be willing to earn money in a different field to get the career that you wanted?
Yeah, because your side hustle becomes your goal. So it's not as if you're paying Peter to pay Paul. You are, I suppose. But you're actually, your goal for why you're doing that, what, is that the wrong saying?
What? It was just random. Pay Peter to pay Paul to pay.
That is a saying. That's a saying.
Is it really?
You pay Peter to pay Paul.
You pay Peter to
It's taken away from my actual analysis of what I was going to say. Pay Peter to pay Paul.
Oh, no, it's not. It's you rob Peter to pay Paul.
I just need to stop saying sayings because I always get it wrong.
That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. That wasn't even remotely close. Because I heard it and went, I'm sure I've heard that before, and it's not that.
But I suppose in this instance, you actually are paying Peter to pay Paul.
You
right?
are. No, I'll
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Basically, what I'm saying is, it's not as if she's doing something random to pay something else random, because one of the random things becomes the goal. So that's all it is.
Yes.
But it's like anything. It's like if you were working a 9 to 5 and you had a different goal, you'll just work your 9 to 5 and then fund your goal. Like,
yeah.
It's the same thing.
But I mean, I think the scale of the achievement, though, is more impressive, which is why it really struck me, because the fact that she went and flew to Costa Rica, completed this triathlon, and won, bearing in mind, with only one arm at the time that was actually in use, the other one being broken, which is flipping painful, by the way, to add as well. That is, it's not a comfortable experience. It's not like, it's not actually suddenly sprained her arm or whatever, and it was just a bit sore. Like, it was actually it was properly broken. Sorry, it was a shoulder. Take it back, shoulder. But even still, it's not like you've got like a little, you've sort of dinked your arm on the way in and you've hit like a lamppost or something. You've absolutely she's done it in. So, yeah, I mean, incredible achievement. And I thought to raise that money and to then have a film that's gone on and done amazingly, shout out to Lesley. What a legend.
A fantastic story.
Yeah, it's a great story, isn't it?
I'm not going to try and compare this to breaking your shoulder, by the way.
Go on.
But I did have an injury the other day, and I haven't told you about this.
Go on. What happened?
So I was at a white collar boxing event.
Yeah.
Loved it. Brilliant night, right? And I had a few drinks, but I wasn't drunk. I was absolutely fine. And near the end of the night, we were sitting at this table, and more and more people started coming in front of us to watch ringside because they were like family members. And then when one person does it, everyone does it. So it was hard to see. But there was one young lad who came in front of me, but he was really conscious that I couldn't see. He kept turning around saying, "Oh, are you all right? Can you see? I was like, And he was really nice. So I gave him a chair because I was at a table. And then I went to lean forward to say, thank you for being so aware of me behind you, and thank you for being so considerate. As I did so, I put my weak arm on the chair, but it was a foldy chair, and I put my arm at the back, so where it folds. My arm fell through the chair folded on my arm, and I fell over. And I ended up, and I had to pretend it didn't hurt, Lewis, but I was quite embarrassed. It was painful. And
I can't
look at that bruise.
Oh my days, that is massive. I can't even see. That is huge.
Right, it's gone yellow now, but that was black and it was blue. And for 2 days, I couldn't sleep on that arm. I was in so much pain, but I had to pretend I was all right.
That's not much fun. Well, on the bright side, you live to tell the tale, and at least your arm's better.
It was embarrassing. I don't often get embarrassed, as you know, but that was up there. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to story number 2.
Moving on to story number 2. We're talking, actually, quite a fun little story. We discussed something similar, slightly different this time, though. We're actually talking about the Premier League and sustainability rankings.
Oh, okay. So is this what we spoke about before in terms of Liverpool doing well with the Hedgehogs?
Right. Now, that's similar but different. That was more about an environmental perspective. This is actually more about the sustainability of a football club. So it's run by a body called Fair Game, and they are basically an independent collective of people, and they're made up of like different names and people and whatever. They're made of leaders, academics, those sort of people. Wow, it's really sunny all of a sudden.
Yeah, you've just brightened up.
Literally, I'm like, I now actually cannot see anything. And they're looking at 3 things. They look at fan engagement, financial management, and equality standards. And actually, I'm proud to say that Liverpool are in first place.
Yay!
Hey, come on.
Lewis, you need to shut the blind. I'm quite concerned about your eyes. For those listening right now, Lewis has gone like mega squinty.
Oh, there we go.
That's better.
That's right. That's much nicer. So we're back on it. So anyway, Liverpool scored first, which is fantastic. And we actually scored very highly on equality. Now, equality was made up of sort of gender ratio at boardroom level, sort of the requirement of like women and ethnic minority candidates and people like that.
Question.
Yes.
How is gender equality to do with sustainability? Is it just in terms of sustaining the status quo, sustaining a club reputation? What? Because sustainability for me is about the environment and about being sustainable to look after the planet. Is that not what it is?
I see what you mean. I actually, to be fair, you've stumped me a bit there because I take the point completely. My way that I would perceive it would be the fact is, clubs that are not ethnically diverse and gender diverse are not sustainable. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, I
Clubs
think that's
that
what they
are,
mean. It's just it's a weird well, not weird, but it's an odd phrase that they've used
yes, I'm with
compared
you.
to how we normally use that word.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will agree with us there.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. I mean, we scored. Yeah, so Liverpool scored highly on equality, which is great. Also, but the top of that were Everton and Brentford. They were tied. Now, bottom of the entire ranking of the list was actually Nottingham Forest. They were actually hammered by their financials, and the reason for that, they got one out. It was ranked out of 40. The financials. They got 1 out of 40, and the club spent 202% on revenue of the player wages. Now, the board, the people that have done this, have sort of analysed it and said the recommended spending is only 70. They've gone and done 202, which is enormous. And the financial stuff's calculated by like the annual reports and who they've loaned in and the player wages, all that sort of thing. So obviously they've done a dreadful job of in terms of the financial side of things from the sustainable perspective again. But it was quite interesting. It was just interesting to hear and to see something a bit different. So Niall Cooper, who is the CEO of Fair Game, said, and has been quoted, and again, interested to hear your opinion, Hope. Football is in crisis. The Euro Super League demonstrated the chasm of feeling between clubs and supporters. The pandemic and cost of living crisis has stretched finances to the limit. Discrimination remains rife. And it's questionable whether the owners and directors test is fit or proper. Football needs a culture change. It needs to start rewarding good behaviour, and we believe that the Sustainability Index, which is this, does that.
But what does that culture change look like? Because there are a lot of owners now from other countries, and a lot of people don't like that. But does this change mean that there's going to be more diverse buyers? I mean, because there's a lot of people from Qatar, for example, or just like Dubai, who are buying up these clubs.
Well, Hope, actually, there's a white paper document for those listening. That actually, I didn't even know what the term meant. It's a government document, basically government paper that's coming out in the next couple of weeks, and that's actually going to highlight the owners of football and the growing resentment. I would say resentment's a strong word, but the growing.
I think it's an accurate word.
Yeah, of fans versus owners and owners that come in that don't care. But rather it be that they're from, say, different countries. It's more actually about they care about the club. It doesn't matter where you're from. As I said on that episode that we talked about at Hope, I can't remember which episode that was, but we discussed a while ago about ownership in the Premier League and in the EFL and stuff. And the point that I still stand by is that if you are interested in football, you can invest from wherever you're from, whoever you are, whatever race, gender, of course. But if you don't care about football, there is no point investing, and that's the bottom line. That's the point that I still stand by.
But unfortunately, sorry to interrupt you there, but unfortunately, most of the owners now, not most of them, but a lot of them who are buying football clubs now are just doing it because it's a good investment for them, not because they actually care about football.
Yeah,
and that's why it rubs up the fans the wrong way.
Yeah, and hopefully this document will kind of give some, I would say, clarity. I'm going to say the clarity over this sort of ongoing issue that's been happening in terms of clubs being bought by whoever. Oh, that's what we were discussing. We discussed Crawley Town. Do you remember we discussed? And they sacked their manager, and all of that happened. Right, that was it. Crawley Town. I knew I'd get there in the end. We talk about those owners that came in, the guys that worked in crypto, and hopefully this document will sort of put some of those things right, and I'm sure it will. But overall, I would say that it's definitely interesting, and I'm glad that actually there is a sustainability index that can now prove which clubs are looking sustainable, i.e. which clubs are ethnically diverse and which clubs are moving forward in a positive way, and the clubs also that need to step up their game. Equally, though, I'd argue like Nottingham Forest coming last for spending poorly in the transfer market in their eyes. Like that, to me, I don't necessarily agree with. But either way, it was interesting to read. And more than anything, I think it's great that this paper's actually coming out because hopefully owners, well, lots of owners actually that have been corrupt and stuff are now sort of disappearing from the game. We're seeing lots of great owners come in that are actually invested and interested in clubs and fans alike. And hopefully those owners that don't care are slowly going to be eradicated from football.
I've got a few things here.
Go on.
First one is that it's good that it breaks down where the clubs have scored points. Because for some people, they would say, well, the finance is the most important thing. Other people would say gender equality is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So if you're saying that you can see the breakdown, I think that's a positive thing because even though Nottingham Forest has done badly on the finance side, they might have done very well on a different part.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Exactly.
Second thing, is Klopp going to leave?
Oh my days. I wasn't expecting. No, Hope he's not. One word, no, he's not.
Good, because I don't want him to, Lewis.
I don't think he will leave, Hope. I really don't. The only reason at all I think why he would leave is if the owners in the summer refuse to spend money, and given the issues we've clearly got, the massive holes in our team that we've got, if Klopp is not given the financial backing in the summer, at that point the conversation may change. But until then, he's always been committed. He's always said he's going to be committed. I don't think he will. I really don't. I think if we sell the club, I think he stays until 2026. I think he'll see out his contract. I don't think he'll extend it past that. I think once 26 comes, that'll be it. But until then, I'm pretty much 99% sure he will stay at Liverpool Football Club.
I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't get into football until the past few years, so I don't actually know anyone other than Klopp. But I love him. I don't want him to go.
That's okay. Hope it's all right. It's what I appreciate, though.
And also, if anyone knows where I can get the Liverpool FC puffy black coat, the long one that he wears, please tell me, because I really want one, but I've tried to look everywhere for one. I want one so bad.
Really?
Yes! I want one literally exactly like that, but you can't get them anywhere.
That is legendary. Do you know what?
Not even at a Liverpool shop at the stadium. You can't even get them there.
Really?
Yes.
No. No. Well, even on. No. Okay. Right. I'll do some digging post this episode. We'll have a look.
Thank you.
Hope we're wrapping it all up, but I thought we'd have to bring it in. Bit of a laugh. You know, bit of a shorter story this one, but exactly. I love a laugh.
I love a laugh. I do.
We're talking about bloody John Fury. You know. Right. Hope. We're bringing our best mate, John. If you're listening, we love you. Our best mate's released a class video. And guess what he tried, Hope?
No. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. I mean, I hate this.
What?
I hate Prime.
Oh, no. You got it. I knew you were going to get it.
Obviously. Yeah. I hate it. Yeah. Like, I hate it. I just don't like the fact that everyone is jumping on bandwagons. I hate bandwagons. And this Prime drink is doing my absolute nutting. It's not even
What's
nice.
The best shopping week, eh?
Oh, the other day, my friend Tom, who's he's a proper YouTube man. He manages YouTubers. Shout out to Tom. He'll know who he is. And he posted a picture of Prime in different flavors, and I just put, Tom, you are a victim. That's how I see everyone at the moment. Victims. Stop it.
People getting sucked into it. Well, Hope. John Fury's with you, unfortunately, because he cracks open. Again, I'll let people watch the video because I don't want to spoil it, but we'll explain. So he basically, and I'm going to do the voice because I don't want to ruin the video because it will take away from the
fun. The voice. You can't tell the story without doing the voice, otherwise I'd kick off.
Okay, right. Anyway. So he gets the bottle and he goes, "What's this big crate all about?" He opens it up, right, and he smells it and goes, "This is shocking." Right. He goes to drink it, and he's doing a taste test, a bit of a laugh, and we'll get to the reason why in a minute, because I think there's sort of an underlying reason as to why he's gone and done this a couple of weeks before a potential fight.
The fight has been announced today, by the way.
Has it been announced properly?
Tommy Fury, Jake Paul, 26th Feb, I think.
Boom, there you go. Right, you beat me to it. Okay, 20. There you go. So Hope, this I think was sort of taking the mick out of Jake Paul in the build, or Logan. It's the Pauls, really, isn't it? It's the whole point of the Pauls in the build up to the fight. Anyway. He goes to drink it. He spits it out all over the floor and goes, and I won't say because there were some bad words in there, but he went, "Disgusting. I'm sorry, but that is grotesque. You couldn't pay me a $5 to do that." He absolutely hated it. Now, of course, as you said, the reason I think why is obviously that they've got the fight coming up. And the best part was that he then went on to say about the fact that Ferocity's better than Prime. By Ferocity's bigger and all this. Anyway, so Hope, there you go. I mean, even John Fury is on the Prime scene.
Now, I was speaking to someone in Boxing Land the other day about Tommy and Paul. Tommy and Paul? And how I queued that up sounded so good as well. Tommy, Fury, Jake Paul, right? And they reckon that the reason Tommy's been quite reluctant to take this fight is because he's got a lot on his shoulders. Because if he loses this fight, then boxing really can't say anything bad against this YouTube stream of fights, because it's saying YouTubers can beat fighters. So he's got a lot of pressure. He can't if he loses this fight, that is going to be a huge blow for boxing. And I don't want that to happen. And I know there are positives to this YouTube stream of fighting. I know there is. It helps young people get into it, and it's good for it's all that stuff. I don't like it. And the main reason I don't like it is because I feel like there are so many fighters out there who dedicate their blood, sweat, and tears day in, day out since being knee high, right? Knee high, Lewis.
Nay, hi.
And they don't get the chances to be on these huge platforms. They don't get the money that these influencers are getting, who have posted a butt cheek on OnlyFans, then they're getting these big fights on a huge platform. Like, I don't think it's fair. I don't like it. I don't think it's fair. And I also think it takes the mick out of boxing a bit as well, because it's like, it's acting like anyone can do it. Oh, anyone can do this. And no, actually, it's not an easy sport. It's the hardest sport there is, in my opinion. And yeah,
Hope's raging.
Hope's really.
Raging.
I'm raging about it. I know that some boxers love watching the YouTube boxing because it's entertaining. And I suppose it is, for the most part, YouTuber versus YouTuber. Yeah. And that's, I suppose, it's like a tournament almost of the same kind of standard. But when you've got getting fighters in there fighting YouTubers, and if the fighters lose...
Yeah. But Hope, the only question I ask you, right, and this is the thing I'm going to follow off the back, not to play any form of advocate, but I'm just intrigued, right? Do you honestly think that Tommy Fury will beat Jake Paul, yes or no?
No.
Because that's the answer. Because although you can pose the argument and you can stand there and say, I hate YouTube boxing, and I don't necessarily disagree with, I can see the reasons for and against it, right? But the fact is, and to be fair, I'm not discrediting Tommy Fury because he's definitely not a bad fighter, but equally, if you can't, exactly as you said, if you can't beat it, it doesn't only discredit the sport, it obviously uplifts all the YouTubers. But the fact is, if you're getting beaten by a YouTuber who's made a song called, I can't remember what it's called now, I've forgotten. Anyway, he's made a load of terrible songs and whatever. It's Everyday Bro, that's what it was called. It's Everyday Bro, right? If you lose someone who's made a song called...
I've never heard that song in my life. How does it go?
Oh, I can't remember. I know the opening bit because he goes, it's every day, bro, with the Disney Channel flow. And then he keeps going on and on and on. But anyway, it's absolutely dreadful. The reason why I'm saying that, Hope, is that I think I agree with you. If Tommy loses, if Jake wins and Tommy loses, then the sport effectively takes a bit of a knock and people go, right, actually, do you know what? Some of these top boxers aren't supposed to be there. But equally, is Tommy Fury a top boxer? That's what you have to ask yourself.
No, that's another thing I said to someone the other day. I was like, I think Tommy, I know he was a boxer before, and because my boxing family's boxed however long, but he's not known for his boxing. To the obvious, like to the outside person, like he's not known for his boxing. He's known for being on Love Island. He's known for being an influencer. I see him more in that bracket than I do as a boxer, which is obviously why Jake Paul has chosen Tommy Fury.
Well, cool.
If Jake Paul wanted to fight a top boxer, he would be calling out a top boxer. But he sees Tommy Fury in the same sort of bracket as an influencer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting one, isn't it? I guess we'll have to wait and see how he gets on. But for me, I will say, again, that's if the fight even goes ahead, because apparently by the sounds that Molly May's pregnant, and so they don't know what's going to happen.
Apparently she's had the baby now.
Oh, she has the baby.
Jake Paul put a tweet out today. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, because I was saying, will Jake put a tweet out, but he made a comment about the fact he was like, we're unsure it's going to happen, guys, because Molly May's pregnant, and it was like, oh, I mean, I don't know.
If I give you the gist of what Jake Paul said earlier, he said, "There's no excuses. The baby's here. Both John and Tyson have said if Tommy loses this fight, he'll have to change his name, move house, and never box again." Something like that.
But then that just says to me,
what kind of pressure is that putting on the poor lad? Do you know what I mean?
But again, comes back to the whole thing of John drinking prime. That's never going to happen. If he loses, they're not going to turn around and kick him out of the family. I don't think they would. I mean, I know they're hard, but you wouldn't. Again, that's just to drum up publicity and to make it a big public stunt. It's not.
Yeah, it is.
If he loses, you'll see him in 6 months' time and be fighting somebody else. If he walked into the ring and put his gloves up like one of those, like you get those silly boxing games where you get a knockout punch and the guy does 5 spins and lands on his face.
With birds flying around his head.
Yeah. At that point, I might go, okay, right. But until that happens, I don't think so.
There is also another fight that's been announced. It's happening. Floyd Mayweather versus, I don't think you would have seen it because you're too young, but there was a show called Geordie Shore back in the day.
Hope, I know Aaron Chalmers.
Shaw.
Yeah.
Aaron is fighting Floyd.
Does he even do boxing?
But he does. He is a fighter.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I didn't know that then. Okay.
I think MMA, not boxing as such. But he does fight. Yeah. On the end of boxing, just quickly, obviously we saw the defeat Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith. Liam Smith beat Chris Eubank Jr. with knockout performance, 4th round. It was a knockout, wasn't it? Well, I don't know if it was TKO. Well,
They were looking into something to do with Eubank Jr. and then didn't he get an elbow or something? Yeah.
This is what I was going to say. Eubank and his team have now gone to the British Boxing Board of Control, saying that Liam elbowed him.
Yeah, that was
The fact that Chris was so full of praise and respect for Liam after the fight shows what a load of rubbish going on about the elbow is now. Because if that actually had happened, he would be fuming and would have said, "You hit me in the elbow," after the fight, not 2 days later.
Yeah, it seems silly, that doesn't it?
It sounds like they've watched it back and they've looked for something.
Yeah, like clutching at straws.
Is that the right saying?
Yes, it is actually. That is the saying, Hope. I would know. For people that wraps up episode 6. I was going to say series 6, not series 6. Interesting though, Hope, for those listening as well that have made it to the end of the episode. Hello, thank you for listening all the way to here. This is actually our 47th ever episode. So there you go, random one. So in three time, it's the 50th, which is big. So that'll be a big little reunion. So there you go. That includes interviews.
Does that include our radio days?
No, I don't know.
See, even more then.
Even more, but proper podcasting on a platform, 47 today. So guys, thank you so much for listening and you'll continue to support into 2023. If you have enjoyed, please do drop us an email at sportsfordummiespodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what we missed, what we could have spoken about, what your thoughts are on all the different stories. Have you watched All Quiet on the Western Front? What do you think about sustainability? And who's going to win, Tommy Fury or Jake Paul? And wrap that up, Hope. What have you got planned this weekend?
I was going to say as well, remember, if you see us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a little rating because it really helps. This weekend, Lewis, I'm actually off to a murder mystery party.
That is legend, fantastic. That is legendary. I've never been to one before,
but I'm playing a jazz pianist called Avery Keys, and I've got to wear a bow tie and trouser braces, and I'm very flirty, apparently.
Right, okay.
Yeah, what about you? What are you doing?
I hope, my days, I've got a big weekend. I'm so excited. Tomorrow, I'm actually going with one of my mates because we enjoy a bit of ground hopping here or there. I'm going to the FA Cup, Fulham against Sunderland in the away end. So I'm going with the Sunderland boys coming all the way down. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We don't know how many exactly. I'm sure I'll find out the capacity. But with the FA Cup, they give an extended allocation. So we have got the entire stand. There should be about 6,000 Sunderland fans. And Sunderland fans are loud, Hope. Like, they are passionate people, which should be class. So it's like I was trying to get the table right, mid to like top 10 Premier League versus top 10 Championships. There's quite a lot on the line, and so it should be fun. But I love it. I love the FA Cup, and I love an away day, so it should be good fun.
Legend. Well, Lewis, love you as always. I'll see you next week.
See you in a bit, people. Peace.